Hello there. The start of my screen jumping suggests that I'm now online. I'm now streaming, and so let me switch to streaming. I think. Where is it? There it is. I hope everybody's doing well. Unfortunately, my camera doesn't seem to be working, so unfortunately, I can't show myself. But you know, these things happen from time to time. I think it's a cable problem, so I think I might have to open up the camera and replace the cable and solder in new wires, which would be awkward. But you know, it's a bit like what used to happen to headphones. I've obviously moved it around too much over time. So, what am I going to talk about today? Well, today I'm going to talk about Hornby's 2022 range that they announced today. And to do so, I am going to go to RM Web, because RM Web are really good in putting it all up there, obvious for everybody to see. And so, and I feel this is the easiest way to follow my way there. And it's kind of moved. I'm still hoping that I'm actually going right now. In fact, you know what? I'm going to test it. Give me a second. I'm going to go to stuff, and it should show me live in the far right box when it opens. That's not encouraging. Do you know what? I can never. There it is. Why is it putting it on the case? That's just annoying. Okay, I am online. Good. I am. Right. That's good. That's encouraging. Okay, so where was I up to? So I'm going through the Hornby 22 range, so first things first. So what have we got here? So actually, before I do that, I want to point out that I'm looking at this list from the diesel-electric modeller's point of view. I don't do Steam. I really don't have any interest in Steam. So I approach things from the diesel-electric modeler point of view. And for my own specific era, it's the end of British Rail. So around about 1987 to 95, you know. But the core of it is about 92, 93. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through the Hornby stuff, and I'm going to be critical, but I think reasonably critical. You know, I'm not just like, you know, a lot of people call it rivet counting, you know, stuff like that, and moaning about stuff. Well, you know, I have a critical eye, so I like to think I have a balanced approach, but I do have very high standards. So we'll see what we'll see how I go. So on the you know, I think I'm going to drop my fourth screen. I've got 4 monitors. I'm a little bit weird, and I'm going to put this up here so I can keep an eye on what's been happening. And okay, there we go. Right, so I need to turn that one off and send screens on, and it's the right screen I'll need next. No, I don't want that. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm just going to move to the right picture page. A little bit lower down. There we go. Okay. So, right, I don't even know if I seem to have no viewers. You know what, I'm going to pause for a few minutes and I'm just going to people have just gone to bed, that's what is wrong. I mean, I was planning to do this from earlier today and I've had some problems trying to figure out how to sort out various parts, but okay, so we're starting off with the Sentinel. So Sentinels, really quite versatile locos, Rolls-Royce engines, and they were used for they were used for private sidings and industrial sources, industrial sites. So you might find them on, you know, a colliery or a cement terminal or something like that, somewhere where they've got you know, somewhat intensive sidings for, you know, a large industrial site. Other times you might have had you know, British Rail would have you know, leased them a locomotive or supplied the power for it. But and also, of course, when British Rail got rid of locos, they might sell them on, which is the reason why you get a lot of 03s and 04s on industrial shunting locomotives. But this is a very good one, and it goes very well with Hornby's. So here's an example of a real one, and you can see how it's got the coupling rods, and so it's I'm not sure if it's exactly the same design. It looks a bit shorter. This one looks a bit longer than the other one. If we go back, can you see how the length from here to here is quite short, whereas on this one it's quite much longer and it's straighter. So there's obviously lots of variations in them. This is the initial one that they brought out, so it looks like they've just enlarged it. I don't know enough, to be honest, about Sentinels, so I'm not really the best one to look into with regards to this. But yeah, like I say, there's two different Sentinels. Oh, here we go. That version looks very similar. But anyway, so the next the next item to look at is the Intercity 125 First Great Western, and it was when this livery came out when First Great Western took over the franchise for the Great Western route. So what happened with the privatisation of the railways? The different sections were broken up, and they kind of reinvented themselves, and then later on they were taken over by a variety of different companies. So in this case we've got what was nicknamed the fag packet livery because of its resemblance. You can see the sort of stripes having the blending effect, and it resembled the Benson and Hedges cigarette packaging, so that's why it was nicknamed fag packet. So now for me this is really going to be useful. I shall probably end up buying a couple or three of these, because these have got the original headlights. So we've got the original headlights here, and the, let's have a look. This isn't encouraging. Every picture I've found has got the circ grills. So there we go. Here's an example with the Maston grill. So the Maston grills are the big rectangle ones, the sort of pairs of rectangle ones. Let's see what I've got further up. Maybe this will be better. So in the British Rail period, and there were two versions in general. There were the Maston Cooler Group ones, and then there were the circ ones, which are like this, I think, actually. It's kind of like a square rectangle kind of shaped one. You can see there, it's, you know, it doesn't have a raised piece. I actually have a better picture. Let me go back to details, and so this is a Maston. These are the Maston grills. So you can see two big rectangles on the top, and then the circ version. Oh, we go. There's a better, slightly better photo actually of the Maston type. And then there was the also Maston one. I know I've got one somewhere. What's this one? Ah, there we go. There's the circ one. So it's basically a big spinning fan with a sort of bent grill on the top. Now, Hornby have done both, and they've done many other ones, so they've been really clever with the design with the HSTs to have most of the designs available. So in this case, like I say, it's got the Maston grills, and it's got the old style, the original style headlights. The other thing that's one of the other things that comes on the earlier versions are there's an extra window there on most of them. So when the HSTs were built, up to 43152, they had. In fact, let me go over to this. So at there we are. So the earlier versions have got the extra window and the window at the back as well on one side. So this window is exactly the same on the other side with the smaller window there. This was done because originally the Intercity 125s had a guard's compartment within the power car, but the guards really hated it. It was noisy and smelly, and you know, could you imagine giving an announcement on the PA when you've got a noisy engine just a compartment away, when we're only talking about a firewall away, you know, big massive engine. So you know, as a result, it stopped being used fairly quickly, and so by the time they built 43153 to 198, they deleted these windows. So well, fortunately, during the end of British Rail, they started to plate them up. So let's go back to the Western. In fact, actually, we could go to the Merlin livery, which I think is due a model. But if we look, we can see. Let's find a good one. There we go. There's an early one, and you can see how there's no window there. It's been plated up by then. There we go. There's a nicer shot. So then, what this means is that the model that we see here okay. No. So the model that we can see here, even though it's got the plated version that you would find, and the number here is, was that 136, 126? Let me try and make that bigger. Okay, it's got 136 and 189. Well, 136 is below 43153, which was the first one that had no guards compartment section, and 189 is definitely within that period. It never had it. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. One of the things that's new about this, this was something that was on the Hornby Railway World, I think it was called, television program, was that they've partially revised the model to put the sliding door bar in a better place, and they've got a newly integrated coupling system. So rather than it being attached to the bogie, it's now attached to the chassis, which is always better. One of the problems what happens is with bogies is that it will push, and sometimes it'll ride up or down, or certainly move up and down when it's going across point work, and that can lift up a vehicle if it's being pushed. So what will happen is the bouncing will push this bar over the top of there between the hook and the decoupling section, and that can then lift up the bogie. So the next time you go across the sort of points, your train derails. And this is just the normal vibration that you get from I'm not convinced. You know what? This isn't in the center of the screen on my display, so I'm gonna try and move it a touch. And what it is, it's too big. That's the problem. Let's make it smaller. There we go. Okay, now we're looking at it exactly as it is, and I just need so there, like that. And I also need to change that one's fine. Yeah, that's fine, and the center screen's fine now. Okay, so I think we're all right now. Okay, sorry about that. So as the mod, there we go. That's much more centered. So excuse me, just taking a quick drink. Hello, Alan of Dragon Junction. Yes, Happy New Year to yourself as well. I had a nice Christmas and New Year. I went down to Plymouth to see my friend, and I bought a couple of railway items when I got home as well. So, bought something for my birthday. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you what I bought for my birthday. Give me a second. So I bought myself a couple of mouse mats, and it just didn't take us a couple of seconds. And okay, So I bought myself a couple of mouse mats. I designed these myself, and they were printed off by Jumble Lane Printing. So thanks to Jeff Redman for that. And I have the Res one as well, which is the one I'm using with this computer. The Raw Freight Construction one here, I'm using on my model railway layout. Excuse me, my model railway, my modelling table computer, because I have two computers. And but this one came out really nice. And Res, I have a real thing for parcels trains, so this fits my needs just perfectly. So yeah, and I've also bought myself a new cutting mat. However, that's still got to arrive yet. But so to go back to these, so this is a nice looking model. Like I say, I won't be needing it in this livery. It really comes down to the livery. That I don't model of the privatisation era, but the body shell itself is perfect for my needs. It's got the old style headlights. It's got the Maston grills, and so that allows a bunch of options available for me. So I'm definitely going to have a couple of these to repaint, and it's not like I haven't got to repaint all the ones Hornby brought out so far that do fit my thing, because the liveries were a bit rubbish. They've improved their version of Executive Light Grey since, and that was always one of my really real sticklers. It was. I always felt that their I think I got a picture of it, or a comparison of it. Where is it? Is it here? No, it's not. It's in Coaches, I think. I've just got to find it before I show it you. Okay, it's not there. Maybe it's in here. Is it still on my... It's still on my desktop. Yes. That's why. Still on my desktop. Okay, so... So that's an example. So this tan at the bottom here, this is the proper, this is the exact colour that they used by British Rail. It's a Pantone 452 in cellulose, which is the paint I tend to use. And if you compare that to the dark, it's just too vivid. This is a much more washed out colour on the left, the proper shade. The one on the right is too vivid and too intense, but also it's like a yellowy cream colour rather than a washed out tan. So yeah, but anyway, Hornby have changed this now, and so that's really encouraging and is definitely worth worth celebrating. So the next one to go to is the Castle train pack. So this is the refurbished, or somewhat recently refurbished, HSC power cars, which are used on what they call the Castle trains, and these are 4-coach short distance. So they're because in order to be able to go 125 miles an hour, they need to have 5 coaches for the right amount of brake force. So as a result, if they're 4 coaches or less, they can only do 110. And so these are the ones that are being done now, and it's something that is let me see if I can find. I think I've got a picture. Got a picture of most things. There we go. One button. So these are the short formed ones, and they run around. They're actually quite common in the southwest. They go from Cardiff to various places, so like Plymouth to Cardiff and Swindon and other places. So they're kind of short distance now. They're much more. They're usually found as Class 2 trains. In fact, let's have let's have a quick look. So one of the websites that I use is TrackMap, and let's have a look where new search. So let's go to Plymouth. So what we can do is we can look around. There you go, 2C44. There we go. Oh no, sorry, that's a Class 802, I think it is, that run down there. Let's have a look. What's this? 2P31. No, also another DMU, another one of those. I don't know why there's no blocks beyond that. No, that's going to be a 158. That's Voyager. Oh, jeez. I haven't caught one around yet. There we go. So there's an example of one of these trains as they've been run now. And this is a Penzance to Bristol. And like I say, you see you see them around a lot now. Don't know what that is. That's freight. Ooh, Watley. So, but anyway, I'm getting off the topic. So, yep. So that's those, and I believe there are coaches to go with them. There's the East Coast, which I always thought was quite a nice livery. I quite like the warm grey colour. It's almost got like a purple hue to it, which I just find it quite. I found it quite nice. And this is much more modern. The cooler group and the headlights are the circular type ones. So the kind of thing that we see here, and like I say, it shows that kind of. It's got like a pale purple hue to it, and look quite nice. It's a real shame that what became LNER was. Someone's beeping at me. Turn that off. That was Facebook. So yeah, there's the East Coast one. Oh, sorry, excuse me. That's not the East Coast livery. That's the I'm sorry, I got that completely wrong. That is the that's the National Express livery with East Coast lettering. So let me flip. Yes, so that's the National Express livery. I wonder if they're going to be able to get it that metallic, because it does have a metallic shine to it. I actually hate that colour right now, because I'm trying to do something up for someone in that livery, and the paint has peeled on me, which has been really frustrating. But anyway, oops, Did I go back? There we go. Okay. So also got the East Midlands Trains ones. Again, I don't know whether these are new ones, but either way, they've certainly got the integrated coupling system here. And then there's the modern version. I don't even know. I didn't even know this existed. So yeah, it's a rather interesting livery, isn't it? Anyway, so these are the buffer fitted ones, again with the integrated coupling, and this time with buffers. So there's a 4 VEP. Been nice, haven't seen that around for quite some time. They did a Network Southeast one many years ago, about 7 or 8 years ago now, I think it was. And it's very, very popular. One of the things that is really sad is that when it comes to electric multiple units, there really aren't very many. I mean, more recently, there have been a few more added, but there's still a vast amount missing. And if you do the modern era, the current thing, there's pretty much nothing. There's a 450, or if you can build a kit of the 455 and 456, but even the 456 has the cab end is wrong because it's just a class 321 end. You've got to rebuild it. I know this. I own one because I'm going to rebuild it, but it's just going to be a delivery one. But it's a nice model, and for someone, if they're prepared to do extra work on it, you could swap the body or rebuild the body, put some etchings on the side of it from MJT, and you could turn it into a variety of other ones, a class 423, no, not 423, 421, or or maybe perhaps even a rep, which could go with the 4TC that Kerner brought out. So this is in the southern livery, which was pretty short-lived. See if I've got a picture of one. What's gone on here? Ugh. I've never had this happen before. Let's go back to that while I try to restart the program. Maybe just use this one. Okay, let's try again. Oh, it's done it again. Okay. I'm just going to shut down the program and restart it. I'm sorry about this. But either way, it's a nice model. It's got good bogies on it. The running is pretty good. I mean, even though it, yeah. Okay, for some reason, I think I'm going to end up restarting my computer to be able to do this, which is frustrating. Let me try doing the hard one. Yeah, it's all scrambled up. Everything is just crazy here. Such a frustration. Okay, well, I'm just going to have to leave it. Okay, so so we've got Southwest Trains one. So this was pretty much Network Southeast, but they just painted over some bits. So, for example, the orange here was the red stripe. That was white in the middle, and that's the older. It looks very much like the older version of Network Southeast blue, which was tartan blue. Oh, my monitor just went a bit weird. Okay, so then we got the Class 110. It's a 3-car pack. It's the early Green era, so the late 50s up until about 62 before yellow panels were on, because I don't see markings for the yellow panels. I think the price on this is ludicrously high for £170 almost, considering this model is like it's probably been around almost as long as I have. So this is at least 40 years old now, I'd say. I think it came out in the early 80s, 83 or something. So I think this price for an old model is a little bit steep. And considering this is a Railroad Plus one, you're talking over £50 for each vehicle, which is just very, very steep. And a 2-car set, still 145, 150 quid almost. Again, it's just, and this is an old model. The detailing is rather crude, but like I say, it's nice to have it around again. And I know of lots of people who've converted them into other types of units before you could buy a 108. This was one of the ways you did it. If you want a 104, this is one of the ways you can do it. I don't know what this is. Oh, it must be some other people commenting on stuff. Okay, so this is the Railroad Plus range. So Railroad Plus is, it's like not as good as the premium stuff, but it's still quite reasonable. And mostly it's the Lima stuff. So Lima bought out Hornby some year, about 8-10 years ago now, and they've re-released a lot of it. And largely they've just put a new motor block in it. Now these are aimed at the people who have, just don't have the money to buy the really expensive stuff, or can't justify it. I mean, spending £200 on a locomotive, or for that matter, something like this, which is 362, which was, I think they were about 150 when they first came out, so the price has really rocketed. But now the Lima Class 31, which is what this is, this body shell is actually really, really good. Back in the old Lima days, this was one of the the best models. The Class 73, it was also very nice too. The 47 was for its day as well. And you can take, and I have done this myself, you can take one of these, you can stick a shore plan roof fan and grill set in it, and cut off the wire, the raised lines that make up handrails, and put some proper wire ones in there, and you can take a loco that was fine in the 80s and early 90s, but really has had its day today. But you can take one of those and make it into a nice model. And not only that, the reputation that it has in the past as being one of the best, there are some people who will take this body and they will transplant it on the top of one of the premium ones in order to make a really good loco. So these shouldn't be written off as just like old rubbish that you shouldn't buy. No, these, the tooling is still very good despite its age. It just needs a little tweaking to make it a piece of art. This is one of the Fragonset ones. So this was, ironically, it was painted into Intercity Swallow, although it never carried the livery until then, and it was just used for charters and things like that. I do remember seeing pictures of it going on Minehead for I think it was Butlins trips, so it would go out and back once a day, take new people, bring back people going back home. So like I say, but again, a nice model if you're prepared to do the work to take it up a notch. But like I say, as a standalone model, it's okay. This one also good. So this is one of, I think it was 7 Class 37s that were turned into painted into city livery for ScotRail sleeper trains up in the sort of, in the Highlands. So you'd have pairs of them with a Mark 1 generator van, and then when they used to go down as far as Newcastle in places before changing traction to an electric. Okay, so this one I have to be very critical about, because you can see from the edge there that this is a centre head code tooling. So it's a box head code. It's also a refurbished one. So if we, since I can't use my my big database of pictures, come on. So 3720. Sorry, 37. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I must have bumped a button. What was I looking for? 116, wasn't it? 116. So, if we look at, let's find a picture of it in the right colour scheme. There we go. So this is the model that this is representing. If we look, we can see it's got the unofficial nameplate that Tinsley put on it. Now, oh come on, there we go. So with refurbished Class 37s, what you've got is a half-size nose grille on one side and a full-height one on the other. A refurbished one will have a 3/4 height one and a long one on each end. Sometimes they've got a split in the middle. Sometimes they're solid at each end. There's a lot of variation. Also, this is one of the later ones, so it doesn't have the ribs on the roof. But you can see this is a split head code model loco, whereas the Hornby model here is a refurbished nose grille on each end, like this one again, but it's like they've taken a refurbished Class 37 centre head code and put a livery that it's never carried. And the thing is, yeah, it might be the Railroad Plus range, this is the Lima model, but it's they could have picked another loco. I mean, let's give you a simple example. 37209, which was Phantom. So there's a loco that is perfect for that model. It's got the flat, it's got no ribs on the roof, it's got the right, the only thing that's wrong is the nose grills, Other than that, it's correct. And if they wanted to, if they wanted to go with the nose grills, well, let's make it 37405 in large logo or something. That would be perfect for the tooling that they've got right there. So I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm critical of this. So I just think this is disappointing. I think it's it's an opportunity lost. And I think I don't know. I would expect most people would rather have something that is correct, possibly correct. And what I mean by possibly correct, I kind of mean that yes, they don't have. Obviously, they don't have all the Class 37 tooling from Lima. They've only got a small amount of it. So, wouldn't it be better to at least keep the body within the profile of, the things that would have carried it? That would make more sense. And in fact, 152 is an example. I mean, they could have done, 673 or 683 or 685, which carried that livery and has shared all those correct elements. So I just think this is disappointing. Okay, so Class 40. 97407. So this was goes back to 1985 and 86, I think it was, when the Class 40s were being withdrawn a lot in the mid 80s. A lot of them still had vacuum brakes only, and that limited their usability. But obviously, you've got a reduction in trains going on, and so and things like 150s and 142s were coming out by then, so there was less need for locomotives on provincial trains, and so they ended up being replaced by units. But like I say, and they were also very large, very labour intensive, and and showing their age. One of the problems, they were very heavy locos, which limited their route availability, the routes that they could travel on. And but they're very popular locos, and the Lima model was actually very good for it, in its time. And there are people that I know the Moston chaps have taken Lima bodies and done them up rather than use the Bachmann one. They have used the Bachmann chassis though. Now this one here, 97407, as you can see, it's also got 40012, which was Oriole, I think it was. In 1985-86, Crewe was being rebuilt, and to do departmental trains in the Crewe area, they basically reactivated about 4 or 5 locos, I think it was, and they managed to hang on a little bit longer than the rest of them. And fortunately, I think all of them went to preservation groups, which was really useful. So yeah, we have. I think this wasn't at the Middle Railway Centre 012, but I'm guessing it's been a while. But let's have a look. Let's have a look at 40. No, wait a minute. 97407. There's someone who's gone and painted one up really nice. I mean, check that out. That's a nice bit of modelling right there, isn't it? So that just shows. I mean, that is the Lima. No, it's not. That's the Bachmann model. But it just shows what it was like, and as you can see, it did some some trains like that. So yeah, like I say, it was on several, ran several years on Crew. Let's have a look what we got here. That's probably a likely one. Yeah, upon completion of Crew remodelling and heading to Chester Independent lines. So yeah, it was Oriel. I thought so. This isn't something I would buy myself because it's before my time, but still a nice model. Let's just reopen that as Flickr. So next we've got another Class 40, Empress of Canada. Again, the Lima model, same kind of story. But an okay one. Looks like it's got small yellow panels on it. I still think the price is a bit pricey, but again, if you heard anything, apparently the price of shipping containers to lease one has gone up by 400%, which is quite a rise, to say the least. Okay, so here's a fun one. So this is the ex-Lima tooling. Ironically, I've owned this model, and so this. So just so you get an understanding. So what happened was, this is 1993, if I remember correctly, and so what had happened was, with the run of with privatization sort of looming, they de-established the civil engineers. So it was the civil engineer, the mechanical electrical engineer, and the signal and telecommunications engineer, and so they basically wrapped those up, and they put them. They took all the locos and they basically and the stock and the wagons and everything, and they assigned them to pools for infrastructure. So they went. So you had Intercity, Network South East, and Ridge Railways. So, Ridge Railways, they continued with civil engineers livery. Network South East, they painted 133 and a few 73s into Network South East livery. And just as an aside, it was quite possible, given that trend, that they might. There were 6 Class 56s that went through overhaul at Doncaster for Network South East, and these were to replace pairs of 33s on the Meldon Quarry ballast trains. And there was a good suggestion that they may have come out in Network South East livery, so it's an interesting what if. But the final one, there was the Intercity, and each group, each Network South East, Regional Railways and Intercity, had their own departmental pool. So this was the Intercity Infrastructure Class 47 fleet, and so. If you look, that's Intercity livery, but they got rid of the white stripe and the dark grey, and they put yellow on instead. That's basically it. At first, it had a yellow cab as well and big infrastructure lettering. In fact, let's see if we can find a picture of it. 47803. I'm actually doing a model of this. Okay, that's not the one. There you go. Not people. It was nicknamed the Yellow Peril, and it changed a little bit. It got black head codes on at one point. It originally had yellow cabs. I wonder if there's a picture of it with infrastructure lettering on. Again, that didn't last very long. There we go. Actually, that's a very nice shot of it. So there it is at Nottingham. And I think it was allocated to Crew. or was it Bescott? Might have been Bescott. And you can see how it yellow cabs at first, but they got very dirty very quickly, as did yellow cabs on most things. A hauling rake of PGA hoppers with the ends modified to be. But there you go. There it is with infrastructure lettering, and like I say, dark grey cab on one end, yellow on the other. But again, eventually it was all painted dark, and there you go. So yeah, it was an interesting loco, to say the least. And so you can now have a model of it. I had a model of it under Lima. It was a limited edition. I managed to find it quite cheap though. Then we got 47598, excuse me, which was one of the locos that was on the ran out of Paddington on the Oxford Banbury with rakes of Mark 1s and 2s. In that was South East livery. This is before the arrival of Class 165s and 166s. Again, the Hornby model, the ex-Lima tooling was very good. You remove the raised lines for handrails, stick in some proper ones, and you've got a really nice looking loco. And even this model under Hornby can still be modified for not much money in order to make it look so much better. And 47656, which became a 478 eventually, similar story, large logo livery. And then then we got a Class 57. I don't know what the front end is like. This could just be a 47 that's got GWR paint job on. But yeah, this is the kind of thing that would go on the sleeper trains from Paddington to Penzance. Excuse me. So then now we've got their the DB Schenkers or DBs, Class 67 silver, and this was used on their I can't remember. Was this used on their Royal trains or not? I can't remember. Let's have a look. 67029. Oh. Okay, looks like it was their repaint for their business train. So their executive train. Colas 67. I don't know if one's come out before. This is actually quite a nice model. It was very, very good. Much better than Lima's version, but the Lima one wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, so the Lima model, and this isn't the Lima model, this is a complete retooling. The Lima model was the first Lima UK product where it had a central motor and flywheels and drive shafts and modern mechanism in them. Unfortunately, it didn't save them from going bankrupt ultimately, which is a shame. But so Railroad Plus train packs. We've seen this one already. Okay, so we've got Intercity 125 power cars. These are the ex-Lima ones. You can tell because you've got the coupling that goes underneath like this, and they've got the sealed ones there. And also the bogies look much better, to be honest. The original Hornby model from 1978, I think it was. I had one when I was a child. That was a bit clunkier version than this, but it sold in its millions. Lots of young lads got them for Christmas, and I was one of them, although not a young lad. Now, this looks a bit strange because it looks like it's the same logo twice. Let's hope that this is 165 and that's not, you don't just get one. By the price, it's a pair, but it looks like they've just taken a photo of either side. Okay, we've gone through that. Let's scroll down, make sure I've not missed anything. Yeah, we looked at that already. Okay. So now we're on the APT. Now, this is about to come out. Sorry, I think it's just come out. And sort of think, oh well, why is that there? Well, this is a second batch. I actually looked at this earlier, and I thought to myself, okay, so if we look at the R number, the 3873. Wrong button. This is a completely different number. So this is a second pack of them, and it's very expensive. But it looks good. And one of the things that I do like, I was worried about this because I thought it was going to have that horrible tan on the bottom, but it turns out that they've revised the colour. Although it did seem to be based upon eye, and it's like it looks right. Well, looks right is a very is a very subjective opinion. So I but like I say, it's nice that it exists. I'd like one, but I don't think I could afford one really. I would actually like about an 8-car set, maybe 9. I do have it on my model list. So yeah, it looks like this one's one with the black around the windows, and this one's the one without. So that's a slightly different thing. But yeah, it's nice to have an APT out there. It's one of those very maligned trains, sort of seen as a failure, but still really popular. And it was around in the mid-80s as a model, and then that was it, and you could only buy them for very expensive prices on eBay and so on. But I did own 2 at one time, which I converted into a single 8-car set. And the way that you would do that is you would take, because it was only a 5-car set, so you had the centre power car, you had a brake, I suppose you could call it, and then a driving vehicle. And what you could do is you could chop them right across the centre there, and chop across the centre there, and reverse them around. And you could make a centre car, although not that kind of centre car. That's one of the double bogeyed ones, which was a rare thing. They were supposed to be fully articulated. So yeah, but like I say, by chopping there and chopping there, you could make a complete vehicle. So we've got a Class 802. It seems weird to have them in a 4-car set then, though. Do they go in 4-car sets? Where's my book? So I'm struggling to see what the number is. 802101. It might be a little bit buzzing because sometimes I get static, but let's have a look. 802101. Okay, no. This isn't a 4-car set. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So an 8021 is a 9-car train, and you'll obviously need the coaches that go with it. And I think this is a similar story. So then we've got the 802.2s, which are 5-car sets, which are what Hornby have already brought out in the past. And these go past where I live. I see them going on the through Staley Bridge towards Manchester Victoria. So I see them, past my window, so to speak, all day long. And they are quite good looking trains. And the nice thing is that you can have a diesel layout and have one of those in, because you know they're diesel electric trains. So they're electric. So yeah, diesel electric multiple units effectively, because they've got diesel engines that can power the traction motors, or they can be used on electric power. So you know it's yeah, almost like 73s in a way. And then there's the new Lumo livery, which came out a few months ago. This was, I think it's first route, going from Edinburgh to London with only one stop or something. So I've already mentioned these. So here's a new one. So the 755s, the 7553, and it says it's a 3-car set. Now, I'm just going to look in my book because I'm still a little bit fuzzy, but the way that these 755s, here we go, 755s. So this is a 3. Okay, so the 755s are 4-car units, but 755s are sort of a weird train. So let me just show you. So 755, or is it? It's 325. So these are the diesel. They can be used in diesel or electric, and so they can work under the wires, or they can work on diesel power. And they've got this really interesting little. Let's see if there's a picture of it. No, it's not. Doesn't look too bad, but I prefer. See if it will show us the centre car, or rather the power car. No, it doesn't seem to. Okay. So this is what they are. So although it's referred to as a 3-car set because 1, 2, 3 vehicles you can travel in, but they've got this power car vehicle, and it's think of it as like, you know, it's just a motor, and it's articulated train as well, if you notice. But this is where the motors are, and it can either run off diesel power or electric, and at least I think it's electric as well. Yep, there you go. You can see a pantograph on the roof, and you know, it's actually quite funny because when every time I look at these, I think of Ed 209 from RoboCop. You know, I don't know. Am I the only one that sees that? You know, it's so it makes me chuckle. It makes me chuckle every time. You know, when I see them, it's the mouth thing. You know, so it's just a little, you know, Ed 209 every time I see it. So just gonna take a drink. There I am trying to explain about the power car. There's one right here, look, to the right. And so, like I say, it's a diesel power. It's a diesel engine. I don't know if you can walk through it. I'm guessing you can. But like I say, it's a diesel engine, and the train can also use electric as well. So it's good for bimode stuff. And they're also doing the 4 as well. So if we look, we've got, and the 4-car flirt version. Now that's, yeah, so these are 5-car sets. You know, it's 745 is the other one I was thinking of. I'm sure it is. Yeah, those are the electric ones, so those are the long ones. So let's have a look at 12 car sets. So 745001. Okay. There you go. There you can see your power car. But 745. Oops. 5. 745001. So these are the high-speed ones that replace Class 90s and Mark III coaches. And again, they're of a similar design. They're just long trains. And so I wonder how much conversion would be needed. Is it possible that Hornby may release one of these as well? If they're similar enough, it could just be that they only have to make centre cars and you can make one of these. So it's a possibility. And like I say, I actually think this is a very surprising choice because it has a very, very limited area of operation. So I would, I would kind of expected them to go for something different. But again, all these things are welcome. I mean, if you're someone that was doing Greater Anglia livery towards the end of that before these came along, well, now you've got something to be the transition between them. So that's a nice thing to see. It's I think all things are welcome. It's not something I would ever buy because obviously, as I mentioned before, I don't do privatisation, but it's still nice to see. So electrics. So we got the Flying Scotsman liveried version of LNER, and the it says VTEC. So this must be when this is East Coast where Virgin took over it. So yeah, the price is a bit pricey, but that's the price of locos these days, which is a real shame. But also practical, and the thing is, it's worth mentioning, and I think we're going to have a really frank discussion about this here. So I'm going to take you to ROCO. So ROCO Model Railways. So let's have a look here. So let's look at an electric locomotive here. Okay, and yeah, so that's quite a small one. Let's see something a bit bigger. So let's have a look at this, which would be a rough equivalent. Okay, so if you look at the price, €229 plus VAT. So let's make it into our money. So let's go to stuff XE, and let's go from euros to pounds. And how much was it again? 229. Oops. 229.90. So let's convert that. So that's £191.81 plus VAT. So let's say it's 192, just to make the numbers easy. Plus 20%. It's 230 quid. Now, like I say, that's 230 quid. It's about the same price. Effectively, we are paying the prices that the continent have been paying for decades. This isn't something new. What happened was that thanks to Lima and Hornby and Dapple as well, Because of the old Ringfield motors and the unusual gauge that we have of double O gauges in this, in this regard. Because of this, we have been, as modelling standards increased with central motors and flywheels and drive shafts to bogie towers, all pickup, all powered, all driving. Sorry, so all the wheels pick up, all the wheels drive where relevant, and and add lights in it, stuff like that. Well, that's what America and the continent had for their, good spec stuff in the late 80s. We were, 15 years behind them on that at least, and so, the problem is that it would be quite a jump to pay £30 for a Lima loco, and for it then to cost £60 or £80 for something with a bit of better mechanism on it. And if you look around in those days, there's a reason why there were so many British modelers who do American HO or the Continental stuff. It's because the quality of it was far better while we were still playing around with Ringfield motors. And so, as we have, Bachmann need to have a lot of credit for dragging Hornby and the other manufacturers into the 20th century, effectively. Had to drag them into having modern mechanisms, which drive much more smoothly than the old ones. So, it's the model railway arena that we have today has been, has changed vastly from the old days. There are times when I think it's been an almost retrograde step, because one of the things that I try to do with my channel is show people tips how to improve their models. And as I mentioned earlier with the Railroad Plus stuff, where you had models that had basic details and you could upgrade them and make them much better by comparison. Well, this is a skill that people used to do, but people really don't do anymore, because when you're paying £200 for one, that's just too expensive to start digging holes in it. Some people are scared of doing that kind of thing, and I understand completely. So it does make sense. When it comes to Class 91s, I want 4 of them. I'm going to have 3 trains, and I'm going to have 4 locos. And one of the locos is a pure indulgence, and it's going to be a 91004. And that one was one of the early ones. But unfortunately, when they were still testing them with Mark III coaches, they had a bit of a problem with the brackets that hold the skirting on, and so many times the skirting was removed. Because they made 10 of them at first. There's another picture. And so I want to do one with the skirting removed. And that appeals to me as a modeler. So I'm going to be spending a lot of money just to get one so I can remove the skirting and do extra work, because that'll be quite unique. That makes it somewhat special. And, I enjoy doing that kind of thing. So I'm prepared to put my money in my purse, as it were, to do that. So yeah, so as I say, it's very easy to say, oh my god, the prices are terrible, but and I think having old stuff that's old stuff where they're charging a load of money for it, like these, that I think is outrageous in my opinion. But you know, um, that's outrageous, but this is less outrageous. These are realistic prices considering, what we have today. So, so an extra power car. And, okay, here we go again. So, Hornby have taken the Lima Class 66. And the Lima Class 66 is limited in design. It's not one of the ones that had the extra body side doors to the low emission ones. It doesn't have the squarer, larger headlight system. So there are generally 3 types. 66. Oops. 001. So the initial, this will do. So the initial 66s had the British Rail style wide pack lights. So that's the standard design as it came out originally. Then let's take 750, just random number. Actually, that's no good because that's not a British one anyway. I should. Will be valid for a point I'm going to make in a moment. 66 420. Okay, that's a good example. So then there are the later version of it, which had big boxes with 2 headlights in. Plus, and also notice the grille above there, and you've got a box with the 3rd headlight on. And then 804. Oops. Is there such a thing? Okay, maybe there isn't such a thing. To be honest, I'm a bit fuzzy on 66s. Let me get my book out and find out. Need my light, because I'm old, and even with glasses. Okay, 845. So no. It's not. Let me just look. Okay, 752. 752. Okay, let me open that one. And that one. And just before I do that, excuse me a second, I'm just going to turn the heating off because I am boiling. Turn the heating on just before I did the live stream, so okay, so if we look, this is one side, which has, cab doors at each end, and then on the other side it has an extra door, and these are the low emission version. So, and you can see how the headlights are slightly different. Again, they're almost wide packs, but they haven't got the little letterbox one on the end. So a 3rd variation of headlight. And then as I was showing earlier. Then we have, I think this is one of them. So this is one of the European ones, and you can see how the headlight clusters are completely different. They're oval, flattened oval shaped, and the box above here is huge by comparison. It sticks right out. You compare this one that's slightly out. You can see how this one comes out a little bit. It's slight extrusion, whereas this is like triple the thickness, I'd say. So these are the European ones. So basically what happened was there were EU rules basically saying that you had to have lower emissions, and so that's why they came out with the lower emission ones. But it came to a point where they wouldn't be able to import any more Class 66s because even the low emission ones were too high for the lower emissions that had been mandated by the EU, which is a good thing to do anyway. Lowering emissions is always better. So I mean, I think we have to consider it a bit like the coal industry. Coal is, pumping the carbon, the carbon into the atmosphere with the coal power stations is not a good thing for us. It's not a good thing for the planet. But at the same time, I still, hark back in my mind to the days where we had, 20s and 56s and 58s and 60s hauling HA coal hoppers. It's a shame that the mining industry is gone, but it's also a good thing that the mining industry is gone. And if we can find some way to get clean energy, so much the better. It'd be better for everybody. The fact that we're going to be going to electric cars will mean that the pollution. I live outside. I live on a main road. It's there was a little map shown of the Manchester area, showing where the worst roads are, and I live right on top of one of them. I got 3 lanes of traffic running next to me. So electric cars will reduce the amount of pollution that's coming into my flat. It'll mean I'll have to clean my windows less often because my windows get filthy, and I'm high up. So and that's all the soot and rubbish that's coming out of the cars. So that's really what we're looking at here. So yeah. So like I say, so this is one of the later ones. So if we look at Hornby really have this nasty habit of just pumping out every single livery they can. And why this isn't Railroad Plus, I don't understand. Because this is Railroad Plus levels of detail. It's all, this is a 90s. Late 90s. 98, I think it was, 97, something like that. It was probably about 6 months after the 66s came out that Lima announced one, and it was 98. 98 was when they came out, so you're talking about a late 90s model. It still had a pancake motor, and that. I mean, the only thing Hornby have done is put a standardized motor, which still only runs on 2 axles. It has better pickups, and it has a DCC socket, but it hasn't got any lights. And so I don't understand why this is considered one of the Hornby's premium products. This should be Railroad Plus. I think a premium model should have a central motor and flywheels and, all-wheel drive, all-wheel pickup, where relevant. That should, as far as I'm to my point of view, I think that should be the standard. I think that's a reasonable argument to make. And, you know, 66748, let's have a look at it. 66748. So it's not in grey anymore, but okay, so can you see how this is one of the low emission ones? So this model is completely wrong. You know, you can see there's a door to the right of it. Does it even show that side? Yes, it does. So there should be a door here, and the steps that go with it and everything. You know, look at the, you've got the battery box and you've got a long fuel tank. Yeah, that's okay. But you know, I just think this is a substandard model. You know, 796, 66796. Let's have a look. That's still got vinyl wrap on it. Okay, so this one isn't a low emission one. So this one isn't too bad, but look at the size of the overhang of that. This is one of the European ones, you know, with slightly different headlights. But the model will look like that. You know, it won't be. It'll be quite incorrect. So I just think you know, it's a sloppy model, in my opinion. This is my opinion. You know, obviously I have high standards for myself. I don't expect everyone else to go for it. I can tell people what I think, but that's all. 66793. 93. An interesting colour scheme on it. And another one of the European ones. But again, Hornby brought it out, slapped another colour scheme on it, and there you go. So, you know, it's like, yeah, if you're on a budget, this is a fine model. You know, if you're not worried about that kind of thing and you're on a budget, then that's fine. But call it a Railroad Plus, because it's not got a high spec mechanism in it. It hasn't got lights. You know, if you want the lower price one, go for the Bachmann one. If you want the higher price one, there's the Hattons one, although I heard that there were bits falling off them, but you just have to stick them back on. You know, I've owned a Bachmann one, in fact, and it was a very, very nice model. Looked good, the details were good, all the details on the side were brilliant. So I would highly recommend. I would rather have, you know, 2 Bachmann ones than 5 ex-Lima ones. But again, that's my point of view. You know, I could say the same thing about the Class 60. If they brought out the Lima tooling and said, you know, you can have one of these for this price, or you can have another one for a good one for £200. It's like, I'd have the £200 one. I really, really would. I'd rather have one good one than 2 not very good ones, by comparison. You know, something that works really well, has all the details, things like that. So we've got another run of the Ruston 48DS with, you know, and the wheelbase is so small that it'll just short out on points, so they have to have this wagon to go with them, which makes sense, but you know, it's very difficult. So this is just these are just relivery stuff. So we've got 08604 which was one of the was it Crew? I think it was Crew. I think it carried black or green or something. 08604. I think it was. If I remember correctly, that's 08604. I think this was the black one. Obviously, it's been re-released for as it is now, but I'm sure it was one of the Cruise ones. No, sorry, it's Tisley. Which looks quite nice. I have to say. So good for repaint, maybe. Certainly good for renumbering. Here's an early liveried one. I don't know if are those the numbers they carried at first? I'm not entirely. I'm a bit fuzzy on early ones. Low ram liveried one, somewhat rare. Okay, so we've got this is the premium kind of product, and you can see it's got a 21-pin decoder, which adds a lot more flexibility. And this is another green liveried skinhead one. I think there's been about 5 of them now. And this one's supposed to represent the prototype D5500. It's got a National Railway Museum thing, so it's obviously in combination. And another BR Blue one, just a box head coast. Now, why, please? Oh gosh! One of the things that I've really wanted for years, I mean, since this model came out, which is like 12, 13 years ago now. When this model came out, it's like, yeah, it's only going to be a matter of time before they do a BR Blue one in a refurbished 37.4. Sorry, 31.4 with the electric train heating. 31.4s were, just one of the core items that, let's say 31.402. So, this is the kind of loco that would be found on parcels trains, intercity trains, departmental trains. It could be found doing all sorts of things. It did the club trains in Manchester area. So it travelled around a lot. And they have so many... They're such versatile locomotives. And it amazes me that Hornby have never brought one out yet. It baffles me, it really does. There are just so many opportunities. Let's not go with that. Let's try 427. There we go. So here's one. There you go. So 3 pictures. So there's it's a different one, but that's 402 still. But there it is on the departmental train. Some of them became 31.5s, which was they basically removed the plugs, so they couldn't be used for electric train heating. But there you go, here's 427, so that's on one of the Manchester Club trains. Something to note here, it's got armoured glass for the driver's window, so reinforced glazing. There it is on a parcels train, 2 of them on a parcels train. And there's the intercity. What happened was the trains that went to Paynton on a summer Saturday would be hauled by a pair of 31s and 47s as well later on, and they would come down So you'd sometimes get DVTs on these trains. But like I say, it's such a versatile thing, and yet we've not seen one yet. It's frustrating. So, but here we are. We've got another one. It's a nice model, but it'd just be nice to see a refurbished one, and one of the other things that Hornby kind of got this wrong when it first came out, because an unrefurbished 31, where you had the white stripe, it was actually a raised line. So if we find, let's say, 31, we could do 101, but 162. Excuse me, I've got an ambulance going by. So this is a good one, but can you see how it's got a raised line there? And this is the same model that Hornby are bringing out. You can see it's got the head code box, and it's got the steps to the boiler port on the roof, and that's that's, if I remember correctly, that's where the dial is for the boiler port. So yeah, this is the model. That's what they're doing here. But when they brought out the unrefurbished one, unfortunately, they went and they didn't have the raised panel line on it, or not panel line, so the raised paneling plating on it, which was, like I say, painted white when they were in green. Now, so Hornby's way of rectifying that was to put more paint on it. Basically, it's got like a couple of 3 layers of paint on it to make it raised, but it doesn't look quite as good. So 50044 Exeter in old Network South East, and I'm a little bit weirded out by this, because I don't remember seeing it in this livery back then. So let's have a look. 50044. So have we got any pictures of it in Old Network South East? It's weird, I don't remember it being in Old Network South East, but then again, I wasn't really looking back then. There it is. See if there's any others. That's late in the sea. Now this one's got black around the windows, which is a bit different. Maybe no, it's 17. Now it looks like a model one, which looks really nice. No, I'll just leave that for now. But yeah, it just looked weird going vertically up like that on the door. The livery application looked a bit strange. And it's got black around the windows. They used to get quite dirty, which is the reason why they changed it. To sort of blue going all the way to the end. 50042 Triumph with the dark grey roof, or the black roof sometimes. I remember seeing that. Actually, I might have had that one for haulage to Barnstaple. When I started, that was one of the DCWA Class 50, so it was Civil Engineers, Department of Civil Engineers, Western Region. Okay, so 60001 Steadfast. This is one of the. This was the first one built, and it's actually quite amusing to see underneath Capability Brown, because they actually worked together. If I let's have a look. 60001. and 60002. Chances are we'll see some research pictures, you know, where they. Okay, that's funny. But yeah, they did test runs all over the country to trial them out. So here we are in Perth in Scotland, and they used some Redland stone hoppers. And so, like I say, they travelled around a lot. So yeah, that's an interesting sort of coincidence. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. The model wouldn't be correct anyway for this because there was some changes. In fact, maybe I might be able to show them because what happened was when they first let's put 1989. That's not 1989, but whatever. But I can show. So, okay, so the Class 60s had a few teething problems in their early days, and one of them is that on one side they had to put some extra roof ports on them. You know, they had like a little grill on the roof somewhere. Let's try 90. Yeah, so that's as they were built. Now, if you notice, you've got a two-piece window there, and okay, that'll do as well. So we've got a two-piece window here, so a small one that can be open and the other one that's solid. Unfortunately, it made it really difficult for drivers to lean out the window. In fact, that's probably the reason why he's looking out like this. And so it was one of the things that was revised. So if we look at let's just look at 001 as it is now. Let's see if we can get oh, that's better. So they modified the Windows to a 3-window version, and there's also an extra port there on the roof. So yeah, but that's really not a big thing, you know. And the model has got the extra port on the roof there, but you know, it carried it like that anyway, so it's no big deal. I mean, you could convert one, I've seen it done, but you'd need a spare body shell to do it. But like I say, great model. The Hornby Class 60 is still one of the best locos ever. When it came out, I mean, it was just perfect. There isn't a thing about it that isn't correct. I don't know whether they've made changes more recently, but you know, as it comes, it is just brilliant. So you know, there are no complaints. You know, the paint, some of the paint colours were a little bit off, but you know, it's only weird nerds, paint job nerds like me would notice these things. They did have an amusing one where they made a bit of a mistake. There was what was joked to be as the Petals livery. So the petroleum livery has kind of like wavy lines, but Hornby did one where it had like chevrons basically. So it was just a slight error. It was quite funny, really. Anyway, so we got the industrial ones as mentioned already. Here's another Lima model. Now this is an interesting one. So many years ago, and when I say many, it's not really that long ago, it's about 6 years ago now, I think it was. There, Hatton's brought out some of the, because these are the biomass wagons, and so you know they go, as it's kind of written on it, they go to Drax Power Station. Oh, excuse me. Oh. So Hatton's did a model. I think it might have been Dapol. But Hatton's did a model for someone, and they had them for sale. It was, I think it was National Power or something. I can't remember now. But they had some you could buy, and they were hideously expensive. Let me see if I can find one. So let's have a look. Okay, Hornby. Okay, so yeah, so they had this. They did this years ago, and it's basically coming out again. But when this was out, it was £83 each. £83 each. So let me let's just going to mute myself. Actually, I'm not going to mute myself. I'm just going to mute the video because we know what trains sound like. Let's get it closer. So let's count how many there are. So here we go. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you know what? This really isn't the right one to go for. I'm going to, you know, at least get the right kind of wagons. So let's try again. Let's turn the volume off. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, I wish it wouldn't do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, for crying out loud! Keep still. 1, 2, 3. Jeez. It's like pick a lane. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 24. Okay. So there's a prototypical train of 24, and they're 50 quid a piece. So the cost of that, so let's just go £49.99 times 24 is, yeah, £1,100, £200, so £1,200 near enough. That's an expensive train, but let's not forget that there used to be the original ones were £83 a piece, and that was a hell of a lot more expensive still. So yeah, that, you know, the fact that these are coming out as a, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, I made a mistake completely, because it's half of that, isn't it? So 42 is 21, isn't it? Okay, so £49.99. No, it isn't. Wait a minute. 24 divided by 2, because they're twin packs, times £49.99. There you go, that's better. It's 600 quid train. You know, expensive, but it'd be really cool to have one, wouldn't it? You know, it would go well behind, you know, a Colas or a GB Rail Freight 60 or a 90. 60 or a 66, you know, or a 70 even in sometimes. So yeah, that would be kind of cool. So this one is a correct one. 66185 is one of the EWS ones. All the details are correct for that. That's it. That's fine. So yay. I do find it dubious having I'm a Climate Hero, because it burns fuel that is slightly better, less dirty, but less dirty doesn't mean it's not dirty. You know, an electric train, perfect for that, but you know, that's me being a bit cynical. So rail charter services, this is one of the newer liveried versions. Again, this is you know, perfectly good. I don't know enough about the real thing, but it's for charter trains, and so it's supplementing the Pullman version, if you want to do that, and they've got the coaches that go with it. So, and these are a limited edition one, from, you know, exclusive. So I'm guessing it's like with a collector's club or something. I don't really know. Web exclusive. You can only buy it on the internet. What does that mean? You can't get it from other places, so it's only from them. There's the collector's club, and yeah, a Malcolm liveried 90. The 90 is an okay model. It's well dated now that the new Bachmann one has come out, but you know, it's a reasonable price for a budget. £85. You know, so I mean, I've got several of these, although I'm probably going to get rid of them, but I'm going to get rid of them. I just haven't got around to it yet. So there we go. That's the locos. Crikey, I've spent probably 2 hours already talking about this. So now let's go for the coaches. So again, this is irrelevant for me because, you know, nice that it's coming out, but irrelevant because that's Steam era stuff. So we've got the slam door coaches with the new mechanism in it, so that's the main thing. When they did the sliding door coaches, they redesigned the chassis as well, and so now they've got a mechanism that is based upon the chassis, not the bogie, which gives it much more stability in terms of moving up and down than a bogie does, because a bogie moves around a lot more as it bounces up across points. So this will be much more efficient and less chance of overriding. And they also seem to have put steps on them and extra pipe, you know, the electric train eating equipment. So that's nice too. So really nice model, you know. And now we've got lots of ones, and there's the first Great Western Fag Packet ones as well. So we've got you know, it'll be TGS a 40736, so that's a TRFM, TRFB. But you know, basically you'll get standard class coach, first class coach, a buffet car, and a TGS. And they're doing multiple numbers of them as well, so you can have all of the different individual ones for that rate, which is great. A car rake is what you would have. And then the same for the East Coast. Those are on 9 coach trains though, with 3 first class, and then they've got LNER ones as well. Kind of sad that this has come out when it has, because just as they were getting rid of them, models come out, so it doesn't. It's almost like you're modelling something from 2 years ago. But it's nice to have the blend. You can run them with the Azumas, as the transition period of them, and then we've got the 4 coaches that will go between the GWR castle type trains. So reliveries, Steam era stuff, Steam. So we got the we got the 16XX or 19XX. No, 16XX series buffet cars, and those were widely used. You'd see them on cross country trains with Mark IIs. So we got some BCKs in maroon. In blood and custard. And BSK. These are universal. You can make these into a whole range of different departmental coaches, and they got Commonwealth bogies, which makes them pretty universal as well. A BSO, a BSO in blue and grey. Hang on, 977135. Oh, it was 325. That's what I was thinking. I forget it. So a BSO in blue and grey. That'll be a HST barrier vehicle probably. But of course you can change the number on that and make it one of the Scottish ones, or you could be really cool and let me just reduce some of these and make it one of the 9-1. I'm trying to remember let me just check my book. I think it's like 9100 or something. No, that's not right. 910. Yeah, BSOT 9007. Let's try that. No. Let's try that. No, that's a model of 1, but still cool enough. It's actually a nice bit of modelling there. Yeah, there were some Mark 1s and some Mark 2s as well, but so that second coach in there, can you see how it's got a little red stripe there? That's because they took one of the passenger compartments out and replaced it with basically a buffet counter and I think it might have had a fridge, but it had a boiler, an urn in there, so they'd use it, so you could have a cup of tea and sandwiches or something on your trip in Scotland. So there were a few of those done, about half a dozen or something. So that's another option that you can do with that. More departmental livery vehicles. The unfortunate part about this is that you'll have vehicles that'll have extra grills and modifications on, and Hornby just produce the nearest they can to it. So you could add extra details and stuff. So Mark II's, yeah. So interesting that they've done the Mark IIe. It's a shame they haven't done modified the chassis from what I can see, unless that's something they're going to do. So one of the problems with the Hornby Mark IIe is that the body and the chassis don't mate together properly, which leaves like a 1mm sole bar, almost like a Mark I coach. So they're supposed to come down round the body and then straight horizontal, but unfortunately, like I say, my guess is that so what happened was Hornby had a Mark II F planned, and then Bachmann announced they were going to do a Mark II F, and so Hornby decided to do the Mark II E instead. And I have a feeling that maybe the CAD work wasn't done well enough, and that, you know, the body and the chassis was designed for the Mark II F, but when they went to do the Mark II E, they didn't. They must have changed something or whatever, and as a result, the body didn't mate on properly. So, you know, it had this soul bar that hung out below, and it's just, you know, the clips on the inside of the body and the notches in the chassis. They are they're out of place by about 0.5 millimetre to 1 millimetre, which may not sound like much, but when you see a soul bar where there shouldn't be one, it does kind of glitch on you. Now, I've bought loads of these coaches. I own more than 50 Mark II's, and that's because I had to make a very pragmatic decision when I was looking at the prices for the Bachmann Mark II Fs going up and up. Sorry, what happened was Bachmann announced the Mark II F, but it took them about 3 or 4 years for them to actually come out. And during those 4 years, I watched the price go from £33 to 40 to 36 to 42, you know. And I'm thinking, crikey, by the time these come out, these are going to be 50 quid a piece. When they came out, the box shifters were like £46.95 or whatever it was, you know, the likes of Hatton's. And so as a result, you know, I just there's no way I can afford the Bachmann ones. And so a year before the Bachmann one came out, I was looking at the Hatton's website, and they had the Mark II's, and the body is almost exactly the same. In fact, the body is the same. The chassis is a bit different because some of the boxes are different on Mark II Fs. You know, the air conditioning section, that is a different design. There's some of the boxes that are different, like that doesn't exist. You know, so some of the changes are there, and it was like, okay, these are £17 at Hatton's, and I need 33 of them. So I bought over 4 months all the ones that I needed, and so that gave me the core trains that I need for cross country and West Coast Mainline, Mark II, Mark III sets. So a Mark II, Mark III set would be a Mark III DVT, 2 or 3 FOs, a Mark III buffet car, and then 6 standard class Mark II Fs. Now, so my plan for them, and I'm starting to achieve these now, is to have 3D printed underframe parts where needed. The roof ventilators, they made them twice as big as they should be, so they, you know, but they get scraped off and fitted with some 3D printed ones, and then you know, so, and I'll be also making the changes to remove the soul bar problem, and that will give me a good working and good looking Mark II F where I need them, and I needed 9 Mark II's as well. So I got 33, and then over time I went and bought a bunch more to fill out other things. So instead of having one Mark II, Mark III set, I mentioned before with the DVT and a Mark III buffet and a rake of Mark II's, with an 86, an 87 or a 90 on the end, well, I went and bought a second train. So one train has got 2 first class coaches, the other one's got 3. Anyway, so again, more DRS liveried standard coaches. Caledonian sleeper ones, those are a weird one, because the reality is that they're actually not like the model that's here. You know, I mean, we got 6701, so let's have a look at 6701. 6701. one, enter, and it's a bit hard to tell from that. Oh gosh. So sometimes they've got plated windows. Sometimes they've got full windows. So these are full windows, and I mean, let's look at. Let's just go first two letters in. Okay, surprised I haven't seen any yet. Let's. Oop, I'm not going to get any hits that way. Here we go. So can't really see on that one, but this one you can. So here's one where it's plated up, and other ones are just painted over. So, like I say, it takes a bit of care to check which ones are which, and you can see how this is just painted over windows. I don't know why it's got 3 large windows painted up. Did they have that many painted up? Painted over it? Looks like it's only 2, Tim, eh? But the interiors won't be like the real ones are, because they have like loose moving seats. They weren't nailed down. Okay, so this is a Flying Scotsman liveried Mark IV DVT, and that'll go with the loco that was further up, and it'll go with the coaches that are coming out already. And then you've got lots of APT packs, so you can have the buffet car look. So we've got the buffet car there. So standard class, first class, unclassified, and the buffet car. So this will enable people to make up full rakes of 14 coaches, 14 vehicles, which would be really impressive. Like I say, I can imagine myself getting one of those packs plus the 7 car set. And these are the coaches. There's your Azuma. There's the GWR ones, so that'll be the was it 4 car sets? This makes it an 8. That was a 9. So that fleshes out your longer trains. So now we're going to wagons. So we've got the Laureate Y. So this is a GWR wagon. Unfortunately, I can't really tell much about it because I don't know enough about the model, about the real thing. In my modelling period, there was still a lot of Steam era, pre-BR stuff around. However, I don't have books on that information. There was a later Laureate version which was wider, but this is the thin version. So let's have a look at one of the best places to look, and that will be trains, galleries. We'll go to Paul Bartlett's website. Paul Bartlett's website is brilliant, and so let's look for Okay, so this is probably the type we'll be looking at here. Maybe, might be one of these. There's a no, I don't think so. I think that might be one there. We can't really see much detail on it. This is not the same design. The thing that I'm noticing, you can see how it goes vertical there for the brake handle. So it's got spoked wheels and a flat edge one. So, like I say, but this is a curved version. So I like I say, I really don't have enough information. That looks like one actually. Laureate Y. Okay, so there we go. So there's an example of what it is, and you can see this is it at best got in 1992. So these lasted. So it's good. It's good to to see this as a model out. That you can have one of these on your layout, and it will be perfectly valid right up to the 90s. So that's good to see. So that's a new wagon. We haven't seen many new wagons for a while that apply to D&E modelers. These are certainly no use to me. More steam era stuff. So the some coal wagons, open coal wagons, kind of thing that you might have seen in South Wales. I'm a bit fuzzy on types. Again, this is outside my modelling period, or it's like right on the end of it. But I'm certainly not doing South Wales and this kind of stuff, so I don't have enough. I don't have enough knowledge to make certainty claims about things, but I do know that these were. You know what? Let's have a look. Let's see if this. Because the number I can read. Okay. Because I do have a book on this. So we've got 338585. So. It's not available. They aren't in my book. Like I say, a bit old. Because what I've got here is 333 and then 340. So, no, I don't. I thought I might have a chance of identifying the type, but still. Definitely a diesel electric era model, something that, something in your BR green, BR blue, and maybe up to, like sectorization perhaps. LMS conflat, BR conflat, those were quite heavily used. Used to see them behind Kobos as well. They used to have a speed, a train that used to go up the Midland line. Again, steam era. These are the kind of things that will have blended over. So like 12-ton fish fan. Those were used for later for parcels as well. But this is the kind of thing that spread across the eras. Departmental CCT, research liveried one. So that's the Southern Region. Sorry, LMS CCT. And then the VDA, which is it's crude compared to the Bachmann model. The chassis isn't from a VDA. It's more like a VAA. But what happened was when this came out in, I think it was 83 or 84, 85 maybe, something like that. It was certainly in the early to middle 1980s. They designed it to have different bodies, so it could either have the SSA body, it could have the VDA body, or it could have the OBA body on it, OAA body on it. Sorry, and but it's not very good. The way the springs are. I mean, the chassis is okay, and the body was okay, other than this big vent thing, which just needs filing off. But yeah, I mean, it was okay for its day, but today, it's not worth £31.49 when you can buy a Bachmann one for roughly the same price. Same again. I don't know why I call it a UDA. It's a VDA. A ferry van again. Same. It's an older model. In fact, it looks like it's got metal. It's got the metal version of the coupling there. But yeah, this is the kind of model that could really do with a new version of this coming out. It was rather quaint having a sliding door on the side. I own a couple of them because they can be converted into departmental vehicles. But as it said, BR ferry van. There were many different ferry van designs. Southern Region luggage van, they were used in the diesel electric stuff, but not in those colours. Be painted blue or something. Then we got a GUV wagon, newspaper van. There were changes made in newspaper vans, but and then just a normal gov, so just parcels work. Standard Brave van, nice model, it really is. And the LMS one as well, nice enough model. I own one. That's one of the special liveried ones that was at Chester, as it says on the side. And an LMS one, because some LMS vehicles were built by British Rail, other ones were I think British Rail built some as well. It's a bit like these. These are LMS designed, but this is a BR designed, BR built one. And a shark with panelled shark. There was an earlier version of this model, but with the with plywood sides, so you haven't got the ingrained lines in it. So. But yeah, the shark goes with the ballast hoppers, the sea cow, sea lion ballast hoppers. And what happened with these was that you've got like a wheel inside. You turn the wheel, and the the ballast plough drops down with these little notches in it going onto the rail. And then what happens is you drop the ballast, and then you pull the train over it or push it. And that will spread the ballast on either side. That was in the old days of doing things. Nowadays you've got the formerly rail track ones where they've got a computer controlled system and sprinkles the ballast exactly where it's needed, and it's a much better way. So these are the coal fish. So these are HA coal hoppers with the body removed and a new box body put on. They've been found all over the place. There are loads and loads of these. Used for spoil trains primarily. So a number of different ones. And then there are packs of them as well. Always a good thing to have if you model sort of the 2000s era, because as the ballast, the coal hoppers started to appear, the big EWS and like the ones Beckman did, or whether it was the Dapple's HIA, is it? As those came out, loads of old HIA coal hoppers were destined for the scrap heap, and they were reutilised, which makes absolute sense. Some fish vans. Then we got some cute little items, kind of thing. You'll get for Christmas. You can give your little kiddie for Christmas, and that's kind of cute. There's the SSA I was talking about before. Goes on the same chassis as the VDA, the SSA, SSA. And more stuff. I wonder if this model actually ever existed, because that's a weird looking vehicle with the step on it. But anyway, they brought out loads of these, and then we've got some KFA wagons. So those were built in the late 80s. They supplemented Freightliner, Rocket distributions for use on Freightliner trains. So I've got a couple of these. These are more modern with the Torex lettering on them, and so a nice model. Like I say, a little bit. The containers are a bit too modern for my era, but swap them with some C-Rail ones and they're brilliant. And then we've got some containers. It's funny having Maersk ones, given how the Beckman FFA and FGA was all Maersk. So it was mainly Maersk. So yeah, it's good to have some different ones here. Some are those. I don't think those are tanker ones. Maybe they're reefers. So power control. So a new lighting system for coaches. I don't know what Magnalight. I don't even know what that means, but we'll see what that is like. And of course now they're doing 21-pin decoders to go with their 21-pin locos, which is great. And you've got the converter for it as well, which again quite useful. And they've got some other buildings. So this is South Eastern Railway, which if you model that part of the country, you probably can't get any models for anything there currently, but and okay, so got a bunch of CAD ideas for stuff that they want to do, and all good stuff. All use. They can all have a use. I mean, these ones at the top. These are for the railway on the top, and these look like the land on the top of the railway next at the bottom. So. Track planning symbols, gosh, I remember those back in the day, and the magazine. So train sets. What have we got here? So we got the ancient 060. Class 06. We've got a TTA tank and some kind of PAL van. And we've also got the MSV wagon. Now the wagon, the body is good. The chassis of what's off a steam train one, but you could modify the chassis, the body to go on a better chassis from Parkside to make a nice one, or you could just buy the Parkside kit, which I've bought. I've got 14 of. I think is it 14? I think it's 14. So this one's an interesting one. I'm not sure what to think of this, because I don't know, is that a class 67? Is that a proper 67 or is that the Lima one? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to try and reuse the Lima one. So I'm guessing, well, 189 quid, that might be a reasonable price. I don't know. This is the PTA hopper here. However, that's not that livery isn't appropriate for that. There were some PTA hoppers that operated out of Scunthorpe, and those are the correct body. The bogies are, aren't very are useless because they're they're Y25s from the HO Lima range, and they just the wheelbase just looks so wrong. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can find. Okay, so these are the wagons they actually are, and let's see if we've got a reasonable shot of an individual one. There we go. Any more? No, that's it. But they did run as lengthy trains. So yeah, that's the actual wagon it is. And they run on a type of bogie that's similar. It's an FTB6 or FBT6. I always forget which it is. It's the same kind of bogie that the BBAs and BAAs ran on. So you can get those from Cambrian. So that's that. You can take that model and upgrade it, and it looks brilliant. So like I say, it's not a useless model. It's actually quite good, but it does have a very limited range, which is Scunthorpe to Immingham Docks. So it has a limited range. One of the interesting things with iron ore tipplers is that they only get filled about halfway, because iron ore is a very, very heavy mineral compared to coal or stone. So as a result, they can't fill it up to the top because it would just be overweight. So and they actually have, I don't know if you can see here, this little thing in the bottom here. That's a I think it is anyway. But they have a gauge. So what happens is, if it gets overfilled, the springs compress too much, they touch, and then you end up with it bleeding air. So it won't move if it's overfilled, which is a clever idea. And but as you can see, it's a long train. I think it was 24 of them were operated. So and you can find them on eBay, and different and at shows and stuff like that. And like I say, a pair of 37s or a 60, works well. Again, the TTA, okay in its day, in the trying days, but and a cheapo Freightliner flat, so and a Kill, but good for starter sets, So I don't know what that was. So licensed collectibles. So they've got Coca-Cola stuff. It's sort of silly, but okay. This is the kind of fun thing you can give your kid for Christmas. It's light-hearted and it's nice. And we've got 3 vehicles that are, pretty good. Only this one is something that wouldn't be much use, but you could make use of these for D&E stuff if you were prepared to repaint or whatever. This is a very nice model, the Lomac. This is the Super Gov. and that's class 121. So, all reasonable models. And like I say, it's a nice, cute thing. The Beetles, it's. I think this is the TTH chassis, but it's just got a box body on it, and it's 73 and some govs by super govs by the look of it. It's not something I would buy, but if you like that kind of thing, okay. And that's it. Yeah, I've gone through the whole thing. So sorry I've whittled on for so long. It's there's some good stuff in there. I am a little bit cynical at times, but for this one, I think there are some good new models coming. The HST power cars are good. The HST, the Mark III coaches with the with the new coupling, that is better as well. So these are very, very good things. The Flirt, is although it's limited in terms of where it operates, it's still a welcome new model. I hope they develop it further into the high-speed train version, the Norwich to London express train, rather than the little the local ones. But again, this is it's early parts, and maybe they'll expand it later. So I'm quite pleased with it this year. There are still some things that I think Hornby could do with doing, like the 31.4 in BR Blue. That would be nice. And I've said this a few times now. One of the things I think Hornby could do with doing is an Electrostar, because the Electrostars, on the southern region are, they are the main form of traction, trains, down in that part of the country. And given that those trains operate, through Margate, I'm a little bit surprised that they haven't considered this yet as a viable model. And the nice thing about them is that, if you actually, I've got a better idea. Let me let's have a quick look at oh crikey, what have I done? And yeah, this one. Okay, still no. So let's just have a look at a video, at Clapham Junction, and so far, so we got a 455 there, and a 450. So you can get the 450, you can get the 455. Oh, this is one of the 4557s with a test class 208 vehicle in it, but you can get these in kit form. The train on the left, train on the right is the back on one. It'd be nice if they did a 444 as well, which is just retooling a longer version of the body basically. So they've got the CAD already for that end. It's just a case of making a longer version of it, and they've got doors at the ends rather than in the middle. But okay, this is a bit out of date now because those changed. Those were rebuilt. There's no models of these. But here we go, Electrostar, and you could sit there and see 50 of them in a day if you just sat there for a couple of hours. wouldn't be a problem. And there are generally two versions. So this version, if you look, it's got windows, windows that like recess. They're a pane of glass in a window frame. And then there's another kind which are like flat panel windows. And I think that if Hornby did, I think Hornby could do a design so they either have, where they can have either type of windows, by having a hole and then having a window pane that could slot into it, so it could either be a separate window, basically a piece of glazed plastic that pushes in the hole, which can either have a window frame on it, or it can be one of the flat panel ones. They just paint over the bits that doesn't get used. So we got the reduced size mega box wagons with a 66. That's available from Dapple. So this is a 455, one of the mid-series ones. So it's the 801 to 839, something like that. Was it even that high? I can't even remember. I'll let you watch the video for a second while I find out. But one of these in ready to run would be nice. 74. There we go, see more. Many more. Yeah, the 458s go from 5800 to 5874. So there's lots of them. Is this one of the other ones? This is one with the flat window plates. So can you see how it's more of a flat panel than than a sort of a recessed window in a window frame? This is a really viable train, because the 375s and the 377s are basically the same thing, and the 387s, which would fit right into Hornby's purview, because they work on the East Coast Main Line through the Thameslink route, and they used to run into St Pancras as well. And they may even still do. There's a flat window plane one again. What was I saying? The other one. 387s are in Great Western, GWR liveried ones as well, which will go with the HSTs and with their Class 800, 802 type units. So, like I say, it's something that's got, that would fit very, very well in their, with other parts of their range. I mean, think about it. If you think objectively, and I think I'm thinking objectively here, because I don't want any of these things. 377s are, they're not my region, and they're outside my modelling era. So, it wouldn't be something that I would buy. So I'm really thinking about other people. And when was the last time you saw a southern region layout? When was the last time you saw one at a show? There aren't any. They're either first generation, like, green, or maybe that was Southeast later, but, and BR blue. But there are very, very few Southern Region EMUs. There you go. There's your single window panes again. If someone like Hornby or Bachmann came out with one of these, they would corner the entire corner of the southeast, and there would be loads of exhibition layouts. And the thing is, if you just look at this video, you don't need one. You need 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. You know, during the rush hour, they'll get 3 car sets. 3 4-car sets together. There's Bachmann's got the 159 that they brought out in that was southeast, just a different livery. So, like I say, there's a lot of southern region layouts waiting to be done. All it needs is a 375, a 377, 387 kind of units. And, you know, that would be nice. It would be nice to see that. So, yeah, that's the end. I've done now, and I'm going to probably go to bed actually, because it's 1:21 in the morning, and I've been chatting for hours. So I hope you have a nice rest of your week, and I hope that that Hornby hasn't emptied your your wallet for the next year. I know they're probably going to get probably the best part of £1,000 out of me this year. Or next year rather, because by the time the fag packet power cars come out, I didn't even look what when were they scheduled to come out. I need to go back. What's that? Hang on a sec. Diesel electric range, okay. So these are September, so the autumn. Yeah, and like I say, £362.99. I could do with 3 of them to fill my model list. I mean, I'll give you a glimpse of it. Yeah, I do need that. Okay, let me okay, so here's my model list, and things that are blue are things that I own already. Now I may not have actually got them finished to this exactly what they are, but you know, I've got them. So 43s, so 4304. That's the one that's the one that came from last year's range, where it's got the yellow end to go with Class 91s. I was already going to be doing this one as it. I was going to do this one as it, but ended up buying the 2-pack one, and so one was going to have the full yellow end, and one was going to have the wraparound livery. But when they announced a 2-pack, and then they announced, it's like, oh, I'll just get a third one. That's brilliant. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I could do with. Now, I'm an idiot. I went and when I got into the railways, I was interested in what I was seeing down in Devon when I lived there. So it was Intercity 125s, it was 101s, 108s on local trains, it was 50s on on the Waterloo to Exeter, Paignton, and DCWA stuff, so the departmental stuff. Class 47s hauling Mark 2s for cross country trains, but also on parcel trains and a bunch of other bits and bobs. So like I say, there was a different range of things, and that's what I fell in love with. That's what I wanted to model. And just up the road you've got Westbury, where you'd have the Class 59s and 56s and all the stone trains. And so last year I went and bought a bunch of the stone trains. So I got the PTA tipplers and the O&A bogie hoppers, towards the end of last year. So like I say, that's the kind of stuff that I was in. Well, then what happened was in 1991 we moved to Manchester. My parents were in the Air Force. We came out of the Air Force, and my mum wanted to live where her family came from, and so I moved up to Manchester, and there was a whole new different world of stuff to see. So you had 86, 87s and 90s on the intercity trains. You had regional railways stuff, or provincial into regional railways. In fact, it was regional railways by then. So you've got the club trains starting up. You've got the parcel trains. You've got Class 304s and later 305s on the stopping local trains, EMUs. Plus you've got loads of 142s, 150s, 156, 158s. So lots of different colour schemes. Just a lot more variety of different things that I'd never seen. I mean, when I moved to Manchester, I think I'd seen 3 electric locos ever. And so, it's like brilliant, all this new stuff to see and new stuff to fall in love with. And then just across the Pennines, you've got the East Coast Main Line, where you've got Class 91s and Mark 4s, which were the new shiny locos and look fantastic. And then you've got 307s on the stopping trains, later replaced with 3219s, which again look fantastic in red. And so I kind of fell in love with that as well. And so when in the days when models were much cheaper, I went and bought loads of different things to run, in those areas. And so, I don't want to throw away things. I hate doing that. I like to use things. And so I want to run a railway layout that still looks correct, but can still have variation. And so what I've come up with is an idea of having, if you look at Dapol, they do overhead wires, the masts, and they screw into the you just drill a hole in your baseboards, push it through, and you got a wing nut. Tighten it up, and that holds it in place. And I thought that was really, really clever. And so I'm looking to take that idea and take it to another level, because on the West Coast Main Line you have different designs of overhead wires. You've got big masts with sort of crisscross structure on it. On the East Coast Main Line you've got more 2 masts with basically wire going across, and then the pickup line from that, or the copper contact rail, a contact wire, or you've got, let's say your Mark III style masts like the Dapple ones. And then, of course, and then on the Great Western stuff, well, there's no wires from the modelling period that I do. So what I've got a plan is to have holes, maybe have magnets inside, and then have, the small masts for the East Coast main line, the big frame ones for the West Coast main line. They just slot them in the holes and they'll lock into place with the with that, and then I'll just have some plugs to go in the hole for for no overhead wires. So that way I can just decide I'm going to do the Great Western line out of Paddington, which is probably going to be my favourite one. But I can also do like out towards Westbury or whatever. So yeah, I'll be able to, today or this week, let's say, I could do Great Western layout. Next week I could do West Coast Main Line, and the week after I'll do East Coast Main Line, and I'll have stock that overlaps into each other. And not only that, in the fullness of time, I want to expand it further. So, I'm not really going any further out of those areas, but I really love Class 319s, so buy myself half a dozen of those to have, and have the Mark III style wires, and I could have it as the Midland main line. So I could have Intercity 125s, and so if you look, you can see I've got IMLP ones here. So these HSTs for the Midlands, but you can see they also did cross country. So there's cross country, there's cross country. So if we, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cross country ones that I can do. I've got IECP, which are the East Coast Mainline power cars, and so I can just use them in different places, to represent different eras, not different eras, different times. Because what happened here, if you look, you can see IECP and ICCS. So what happened was when the Class 91s turned up and they started to replace the Intercity 125s, the Intercity 125s were then sent off and they went to cross-country mostly. Great Western got some as well, and the cross-country trains only have 7 coaches, whereas the Great Western had 7 or 8 coaches, and so the rakes that only had 7, they took first-class coaches and made them into standard-class coaches and embedded them into the standard-class ones, and so ended up with, for all the Great Western ones were 8-car sets. So what I'm looking at here, the pink ones, are ones that I would like to do with those not that. The fag packet ones here, I can do this. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These ones will need to have the windows added, but that's not a big deal. I've done that before. Done that on 19. And so that will give me either an East Coast Main Line style, or a West Coast, Great Western one, or a cross country one. So if I'm modelling my layout, if I'm running my layout in a Doncaster, Wakefield sort of area, Wakefield, Leeds, then I can run the cross country ones, and I can run the East Coast Mainline ones. If I'm doing the Great Western, well, I can use cross country and Great Western power cars, And if I'm doing the West Coast main line, well, you don't really get many HSTs. So later, about 93, I think it was, 92, 93, they started using them on North Wales trains, so I could use them for that. So, like I say, it's a case of try to have things that overlap, and if I can get, some Midland ones as well, I could have Midlands, Midlands power cars that I can use with 319s. Alternatively, let's just stick to the East Coast main line. So I could start off in the northeast, sort of Doncaster, Wakefield, Leeds kind of an area. And that means I can use coal trains, I can use 142s, 144s, 150s, 156s, 158s, along with intercity 125s and rakes and Mark 1s, 91 and Mark 4s. But I could take off the provincial regional railways stuff and put on some Bretchel class 317s and operate a sort of more, Peterborough, Huntingdon kind of area. Or I could move it slightly further south still and make some class 313s and have, a sort of suburban London kind of thing, which can have, like I say, 313s, 317s, later 365s, and I can mix them with HSTs and 91s and Mark 4s. So it's a case of you just remove a few bits, swap them with something else, and you've still got mainly the core stuff that you already have. So it's all, this would be nice to have, but whether it's realistic or not, who knows. But that's what I would like to do. And fortunately, if we look, when it comes to coaches, if we look, I've already got a lot of the core stuff. I've got rakes of Mark 1s, Mark 2s, from Network South East. I'd like to do some Waterloo to Exeter type things as well. Anglia, I'd like to do, but it's low on my list. This is a Cardiff, so back in 1988 they stopped using them, but this is a Cardiff-based set, so you'd have them with class 33 or 37, and this is a northeastern, pacer replacement service. I've got 1, 2, 3 Regional Railways Club Train ones. One's a Raker Mark II blue-grey sets, and then there's 2 sets of Regional Railways livery Mark IIs, mostly A's. I've got a Transpennine rake, which I just need to convert that, which will become from a Mark IIe. This one is a bunch of Mark IIes that, with the exception of the FK, stick some different, those I'm going to take Mark IIAs and convert them into Mark IICs and a B. Some spare vehicles to sort of mix and match stuff. ScotRail, I'm working on this train at the moment, just doing a little bit here and there. So when it comes to my cross-country trains, I've got 3, 1, 2, 3. I've got an East Coast mainline commuter train, which is what was done before the HSTs had been moved away, and they tried using 317s, but passengers didn't like it, and there just wasn't enough room on them anyway. And so what they did was they had 2 rakes of coaches that they would run out to. One went to Grantham, one went to Peterborough. It'd go from there into London in the morning and leave at night. And that would be hauled by 89 001, a 90 or a 91. And when it was going south, it was blunt end first, which is an interesting thing. So that gives my third Class 91 something to do. West Coast Main Line, there's my Mark II, Mark III set, so that's one. And there's another one, so that's one clockwise, one anti-clockwise. Great Eastern, like these ones are really, I love DVSOs in city livery, so I'm going to make up a train. What the hell? But if I can do the rest of these, find them cheap enough, that'll help. But I could easily just use the ones that are up here because they won't be used at the same time, and I can just swap them out for them. And there's only the numbers that are different. Nobody will notice. Only weird and nerdy people like me would. I'd like a Mark II Pullman one day, but spare vehicles so I can change things out. So, for example, I can swap out. I can take this vehicle and swap it out for one of these, and that'll just give a bit more, another option. My computer fan just started rattling a bit. So I've got 2 rakes of Mark III coaches with DVT. I've got so this is a Pullman or a standard train, and so what happened was on the East Coast Main Line before the Class 91s turned up, they had 3 Pullman rakes of coaches, which would be more first class seating, less standard class seating, and an extra buffet car. And they would go, because suddenly you got places like, York and Newcastle that are almost commuter towns, because the Intercity 125s could get there quicker. So you'd leave at 6 o'clock in the morning and you get there by 10, which is fine if you're a business executive, But so in order to represent one, what I've gone and done is I've got coaches enough to do. That's the Pullman rake. But all I have to do is take out those 2 vehicles and swap them with those 2 vehicles, and I've got a standard train, so it's only 2 vehicles difference. And this was both these are prototypical rakes. This one's up to about 1990, and then by 91 or during 1990 it became a standard rake. There's my second rake of East Coast Main Line HST set, and this one's got buffers so that it can be worked with the Class 91. I would like another one, but that's a wishful kind of thing. And a Midland Mainline one in old Intercity colours. And then I've got that one I've got already, so that's a 7-car cross-country set. And then I've got another 2 that I want to do, and it will be tomorrow now, but I'm going to be buying these coaches here in order to make those rakes. And so at the moment I've only got 6 power cars, but I've got 4 trains, sorry, I will have anyway. I'll have 5 actually. So this is the reason why I'm going to need the extra power cars. And for the Great Western, again, these are the reason why they're grey is because it's like it'd be nice to have those, but if I don't, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And then I've got other stuff like that's a Mark III, that's a sleeper train, or a sleeper train in the state when they had the stagecoaches. Cornish Riviera, maybe, if I can, but. And then I've got the rakes and Mark IVs. I'd like to have 4, but because a Pullman one, was 3 first class coaches, and originally they even had 2 buffets, so I've gone and bought an extra buffet car. I'll be buying another buffet car. Sorry, just waiting for them to come out now. So I'll be buying 3 rakes plus some extra coaches to make up some other stuff. That's the Super Pullman I was talking about, where they got 2 first class coaches. Sorry, 2 buffet cars and 4 first class coaches. So yeah, charter train, lots of parcel coaches, other bits and bobs, you know. So, like I say, I've got a good range of things. It's, you know, lots of stuff I'd like, lots of stuff I haven't got. But, you know, I've got a good core amount of stuff. You know, that's the BBAs that are out. I'm going to be paying for those very shortly too. So, like I say, that's you know, that's basically the way things are going. So I'm just going to talk for another half an hour or whatever it is, you know, and yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed. So it was nice. You know, hope people. I haven't had a lot of listeners. You know, haven't had a lot of people ongoing, but you know, watching. But for anybody who watches later, because this did go on at like 10 o'clock at night, for those people who are either watching now, thank you, or watching later, also thank you. And I'll chat again soon. Good night, everybody.